I'm going to show you how to insert an automatic website translator to your Dex app. A lot of people must have had issue with translating their websites, but here is going to be easy for you to translate with no much hard work. First off, I'm going to introduce you to Yandex Translator. You can visit Yandex translate.yandex.com/developer/website widgets. We have some translators, but the popular ones you have Google Translate and you have this Yandex Translate. Although Google Translate will soon be phased out, if I'm not too sure. But the issue with Google Translate is that some countries like in China, Google Translate and Google itself is blocked. So a Chinese user of this ERPNext may not be able to translate using this Google Translate if you hook Google Translate to it. But this Yandex Translate should be able to work for all users worldwide, I believe. Okay, first off, before we get into getting this Yandex Translator, I'm going to show you how to kind of communicate, check the entire this entire closure is the navbar, the Dex navbar embedded into the dex.html, and how we can check this file entire full navbar is right click on it, click inspect, and now you are showed some HTML content. The highlighted one here is the form navbar. Scroll a little bit to the top, you see this div, close it, click on it, and you see the entire div content. It's embedded in a class, a div class called collapse navbar collapse justify. You double click on it, copy it, and inside of it we have this alert. I have this other menu inside of it, but I don't care much about it. I just care about getting the entire navbar. Okay, I'm going to go straight to my console, clear the console content. First thing I'm going to do is to try to grab this entire navbar elements and type it as documents dot query selector, as using document object model. Is that in, you would not get the content, but to get that content, even if you start, since it is a class in the div, even if you start with this you get nothing. It's best to get rid of this collapse and get rid of this other one, and here you have your div with the entire div element content, to the form and this other navigation. You can scroll down to see the content, but we don't care much about it. Now we can assign this element itself. We're going to assign it to a variable. Let's navbar, call the variable navbar. We'll assign this. Save. How I'm going to add the translator is by creating an element, HTML element, and embed the HTML element in this open space. And how do you create an HTML element? You use the word document.create element. Summarize documents. I'm going to create the variable straight let. Should I call it anchor? Yeah, let's okay. ANC is assigned document dot create, no, lowercase, create element, and the element is what? An anchor element. Click on anchor and ANC, you get an MTA tag. Okay, next we are going to assign a value to it. First, I want to assign a URL to it, that is an href element, and the name. To do that, you have anc.href is assigned. We can visit https://erpnext.com. And now you can see we have this a.hrp@erpnext.com, but no name. To add the name, you do the same a dot that is inner text you assign visit ERP next, and you have a full element, that is a full anchor element or HTML element or document element. And to add that way, to inject that element into this page, you use the DOM property or DOM facility. First, we got this nav bar. We have two properties we can use. We have prepend and append. Append is going to add it more like a push, a stack push, add it immediately after this. But prepend, we add it before this search form. I'm going to use prepend, and that will be navbar dot prepend anc, and you see something here. An element, can right click on it, it's going to open erpnext.com for you. Okay, we are not interested in that. We are interested in adding a translator up here. And first off is to copy this entire code into our system. But how do we inject or tap into this HTML header? Recall, I showed you this documentation. In Python, you have hooks, and in hooks, you have these text. On the text, you have a way to kind of inject HTML, JavaScript, and CSS into our dex.html file. Recall that this entire content is housed by the dex. The dex holds the container that all this content here can be placed into. Okay, to tap into that, you head straight to your hooks.py, but recall I changed the structure of the hooks by creating a folder called hooks, then a file called init.py that contains the entire hooks code. But if you don't have this and in your own app you just have your hooks.py outside, just go straight into your hooks.py and do the same. Okay, this first set of comments contains your plugins, so plugins, CSS and JS. Okay, I'm going to copy this, duplicate just below, or comment it. Just going to have dex.js, save. I'm going to stop my server, restart it, because I edited the Python file. Often you may need to restart the server for it to be recognized. Then since we added this, you add it to your public, and since it's in my JS, go straight to my JS. I have this dex.js, so right click, new file, dex.js, and save that. And to test our dex.js, you can first print console.log hello dex and save. Once that's done, go to your browser and reload. Okay, my dex has completely reloaded. You can scroll to the top and you see the content we just printed, hello dex. And here is what we just plugged in directly. You can click on it. It's going to show you the content. And to also view the content properly, how is displayed in the browser, click on view page source. Scroll down to the bottom. Just above this audio, have this last script tag. See it, assets, estate app, js, dex.js. Do not mind this version, the system is going to pick it by itself, but you can just see that our file is recognized and it's also printed on the terminal. Okay, so right now we are going to, everything we wrote earlier, going to copy it directly into our dex.js file. Okay, but to load this, we are going to add it into, how am I going to put it now? If your page loads the first time, if you don't add this into a ready function, the code will execute before the page itself loads. At the end of the day, your code will not work properly. You just get some kind of error here that says element not found. So it is best you add it into a document ready function. Say done ready documents dot add event listener. The event is done. Content loaded, meaning once the page fully loads before this code should execute. Once the page loads, then we execute our function, picks up the event that fired, and here goes our function. Now we can grab all the code we wrote earlier. First grab this navbar, copy that, paste. Okay, we get the navbar, create an anchor element, assign href to it, and inner text, prepend it to the navbar, and fine goes our code. But there's a catch to this. If you reload this page, the thing will it may not show up. It may still keep catch of the old codes. And if that doesn't work, we can just easily clear our browser cache. Okay. The browser has just reloaded. I'm gonna check through. You see this code still prints, but um what we have here hasn't shown. Okay, the code did not work. I told you that earlier. You can click on this, you notice that what we have here is still the first line of code. Just try to clear your browser cache. Go to clear browser data, clear only the cached images and files, just the cache. Do not clear your cookies. Clear, reload that page once more. Okay, now you see the page has reloaded and the full code content is already showing up. And although it did not work because there is some kind of issue showing up here, we have, they said on quote type error, add event listener. The spelling is not correct. Should be add event listener. Event listener. So this is kind of wrong. Correct that. We might have to clear this cache again and reload the page. Okay, now it has reloaded and you see the codes showing with no errors. It's like you can see there's no error, no highlighting, meaning that the code is working properly. And you can see the link here, visit ERPNext.com. Okay, you can so check your console and you find this. So the next thing we can do is kind of add the translator to our site. But I'm going to explain this translator to you. First off, you're going to add your URL domain. Since I'm on my local host, just going to use example.com. Then select your site language. By default, this Yandex Translator will translate the site automatically based on the browser language. If you have users in Arab countries, to automatically translate to Arab. You have in the Chinese area speaking countries to translate to Chinese. You have in French speaking countries automatically to French. In English speaking countries automatically to English. Whichever country the default language of the browser will be automatically recognized and the page will be translated to it. Okay, but for the now, I'm just gonna add example.com since I'm on my local host. I select my default language. Now you have this page translation. This first checkbox says when the translate button is clicked or automatically, choose automatically. It should not translate when it's clicked. This second one means that once you detect the browser language, just automatically translate it. That's all. Then this could be how it should display. I want it to display in this gray color. I don't know what color it is. I'm colorblind. Um, I'm just going to choose the light one. Then you grab this entire code, but not everything. This first set of div, this first set is a div that will be recognized where this translator will be injected. All I need from here is this YT widget. Can go back to our codes where we have this anchor href. We don't need href. All we need is ID. And that's all. Don't need this name at all. So all I want is just to have something like this, an invincible translate how like an invisible anchor link. I can clear this browser cache to show you how the invincible anchor link works. Reload this page. Okay, we have fully loaded page. Right click on this menu, blank space, and you see an A tag, an invincible A tag with an ID YT widget. That's all we need. The next thing I want is the script tag. That's all I need. Come straight to your code. You can paste it somewhere down here. I'm going to expand my screen. Okay, the next line is what? Script tag. So we'll create our script tag. Let script tag is assigned. Okay, create a script tag, then give it a source path. Becomes scr tag dot src is assigned. The entire source path. Cut, paste, and the type as well. And get rid of this. And once we are done with that, we are going to inject this script tag directly into this text page, our text page. So append it to the page. We use the codes documents dot head dot append child this is not correct. It's correct. Append child this and save. This is all we need. Once the page loads completely, that is document.add events listener, document content loaded, then we grab the nav bar, create an anchor element, assign an ID to it, append it to the nav bar, then create a script tag, give it the source and the type. Then we push this entire script tag to the page elements. That is to the header, to the page header. I think we are done with this. You can clear this content. You wouldn't have to clear this when you are in production, just for the development. You go straight to your. I might have to close this to have a better view. Click here and reload. Okay, now you have the translator showing up on top of your website. You can also use it on mobile. It has a nice mobile view as well. Open mobile, Control Shift G. You can try it on your mobile. Okay, now you can click on, told you if to translate automatically based on your browser language, and click on Arabic, and you see this entire content move to the right. And if you click on a new page, because that page has not yet been translated, it will recognize, then translate it. By the time you return to that page next time, it will not retranslate, it will keep the translation. Like the first page, if I click on it, you see the translation was retained, but this third one hasn't been translated before, so it's going to open it and then translate. But once you return back to it, my system is a little slow because of my recorder. It's going to translate as well. You can go to the second one, come back to this. You see the translation was retained. You can also click on other languages, maybe Japanese. See the Japanese languages as well. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. And based on the configuration I talked about earlier, my code, I like to separate my hooks, the content of my hook, so as not to keep going back to the hooks file. I have to copy the entire includes. The entire includes. It stopped at, yeah, just before this home pages. Just have to grab the entire includes, ports, and come to the hooks folder. That is if you used this configuration. If you did not, if you use hooks.py, no need to do what I'm doing. Create a file called public.js for all the public files. Not public.js, my bad, public.py, rename public.py. Paste this here, save, go back to my hooks file, then just here from .public import asterisk, save, and your code should still work fine. I have to restart my server. Also clear this, though you do not need to clear it, will still work. I just want to clear to show you that it will work. Yeah, reload this page. Okay, page completely reloaded, and you see everything still working fine. You will still change the language, and your page language will be changed. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you do like it. Please do like and subscribe.